And actually our final question for this afternoon, how do you see new compositions from yourself or from the world at large, new compositions of music as a reaction to our cultural climate and as a storytelling vehicle for social change?
Well, as you pointed out, there are so many works that have political tones to them. And as I said, I think art is a very powerful communicator. I think it's an exciting time for contemporary music because it's like pretty much anything is game now.
Mm-hmm.
There was a period, I would say, that extended from the 1930s into all the way into like early 90s, when you had to be part of the avant-garde to be taken seriously at all. You had to be following some form of surrealism or some such permutation. And, you know, I think it's been tried, and I think some of it has been done very successfully. There's a lot of very good serial music, for example. Does it communicate to the audience at large? Probably not. Might it 100 years from now? Time will tell. I don't know. But right now, the trend is actually shifted back towards kind of anything. So you have some of that kind of music still being written, but you have totally on the other side of the equation, very tonal music being written. I would say I'm more in that side myself. And it's accepted with the same seriousness that music on this side is accepted. So the excitement is that I think we're allowing the voices to be heard in their natural form without filter by some biased style, like, oh, this is the style that means something, so everyone who's feeling anything has to express it somehow in that language. I think now we've opened up the language channels, so I would imagine that it's a very exciting time for people who want to be creative because they can just express themselves in their natural way.
Mm-hmm. Great. And just to emphasize again on music as a storytelling vehicle for social change, do you see that more in practical ways happening in the future, or like we talked about earlier, just elevating the conversation of things we can do or say to make this world a better place for everyone?
You know, I think it's subtle. I think that in general, my attitude in life is I never want to shove anything down people's throats. Mm-hmm. I certainly don't want to shove my points of view down someone else's throat. I don't believe that I have the right to do it, and I don't believe that I'm so great that everything I say should be taken as gospel by anyone else. Mm-hmm. So I view art as a suggestion. It's a suggestion, and it's a door. And if you want to go, you go. You open the door and you enter. Mm-hmm. And if you enter that place where the art is, there may be some really wonderful things in store for you. I will say this, that I think there's undoubtedly a correlation between a peaceful society and one that advocates art. Mm-hmm. And we see that in history. It's undeniable, whether it's, you know, the Renaissance or Catherine the Great's Russia, you know, or Elizabeth I's England, or, you know, 19th century Paris, like in the 1830s. I mean, war tends to decimate artistic expression. And so times of war, what tends to be valued is the material, weapons, soldiers, things that you can build. Mm-hmm. The technology is generally filtered only to serve those purposes. And then in times of great peace and prosperity, there tends to be more room in people's minds and hearts to go beyond those basic core essentials, right? So again, I'm not disparaging the need for militaries and for material objects and for strength and core values. Those have to be there. But then what is art? It's what massages the soul, you know, and it elevates people beyond their core. We don't want to just be primal all the time.
Instinctual.
Right, and the thing is, we revert to our primal behavior when we're under duress. So times of war and strife in the world are times of duress, and we revert to our most primal. We all go to our corner of political point of view and like stand there with our fists out and, you know, unwilling to yield. And then when we're in our more cultivated, civilized states, we tend to come together in the center of things more and reach out to each other. So art, composition, you know, can do that. It can express, that the world is a better place. and B, it can sometimes stimulate a conversation about a better place. But again, it's hard to do when you're in that time of duress. It has to keep going. The engine of art needs to keep moving. Right now we're in a difficult time because the engine doesn't run for us as artists. There are times when our governments or our sponsorships are very strong in support of what we do artistically, and then that can just make things easier. It can just pave the path. Right now it's like we're walking on a dirt road, and so we have to pave it ourselves. But we have to do it. It's just work hard and do it. Like, don't blame the society, because the society is going through a really hard pivotal shift. It's like an earthquake, and so the change starts with you, is the way I look at it. So you just have to live the example, and then the times will get better. They will, because they always do. Yeah. Life and history work in cycles. We're in a hard cycle right now, but we'll come on the other side of it, and it's the work we're doing now that will pave the way for the next generation. Yeah. So they'll have an easier time, and then it'll go hard again, and it'll go easy again, and we'll continue this way for thousands of years, assuming we don't blow ourselves up. And the other thing to consider is that, if you read historical criticisms from any period of time, the writers of the day are always complaining that their time is the worst time in history. Oh, things are not the way they used to be. And oh, it's never going to survive. And everybody's super pessimistic. That was that way 100 years ago. It was that way 200 years ago. It was that way 500 years ago. It was probably that way 10,000 years ago. And it will probably be that way 10,000 years from now. And so I think people complain too much. Stop complaining and start creating, is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. You are such an inspiration for me, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Well, thank you, Florrie.
To talk with me.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.